Okay, welcome everyone to the Team Ignite call. It's June 18th. We are leaving for Summit, some of us just in a day or two. So I wanted to talk about Summit tonight. So let's see a show of hands. Who's going to Summit this week? Good, I can't see everybody else. Good, awesome. So I wanted to give a few tips about Summit tonight, just some things to help you get the most out of the event. Remember that we tend to put a lot of focus on the social aspects of Summit, how the community meeting each other, sometimes for the very first time in person, which is extremely powerful and one of my absolute favorite things. But sometimes we forget that we're going for business. This is a business expense. We are going to transform our businesses and hopefully our lives through the event. So I just want to try to remind us about that as we go into it. And I'm going to give some very specific ways that you can get the most out of the event in that case. But first, I want to go through a few general tips that you may or may not have heard already. I know you've heard this one, but if you have not downloaded your Team Beachbody Events app yet, do it before you go to bed tonight. Seriously. It is tons and tons of stuff in there. Some of the things that I'm going to reference tonight, you actually find in the app. You can add, at least last year, I haven't done it yet. You can add your own events. So last year, I added our team party into the event so I would get a reminder that I could look up the location again and I didn't have to look in multiple different places. So you can actually add your own events into your agenda so everything's in one place. Remember that there's going to be 30,000 people in one place and everybody's going to be one. I've had a lot of cat meetings today. Everybody wants to go the same place you're going, and it can get a little chaotic. The first day especially, because everybody's still kind of in that frenzy. A lot of them, their plane just landed, they hopped off the plane, they registered, and now they're at general session. So they're in a hurry. After that first general session, though, it's like everybody kind of calms down a little bit. We get excited again to be together, and the mood just lifts. And it's still chaotic. I don't want you to think it's not, but it is amazing to be surrounded by people that have a similar mission to you. So I want you to be excited about that and don't get distracted by the long lines or the heat or all the people and having to check your bags when you go into the different different large events. Okay, so just be prepared for that. This is why we do personal development, so that we can keep ourselves calm even whenever there's 30,000 people around me. Oh my gosh, I don't like crowds. Is anybody else like that? I don't like crowds, but I live for Summit. I love Summit. Again, there's this passion and this energy and this excitement because we all believe in the same thing a little differently, but it is so exciting. So I don't like crowds, but I love Summit. Make sure you read your bag policies for the Lucas Oil Stadium. Every stadium has rules that you have to follow. For instance, this year, you can't take food into the Lucas Oil Stadium. The conference center, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the Lucas Oil Stadium. You can't take food. You can take your personal water bottle. This policy actually states it can be filled. But read the policy for yourself. It is in the app. Very important you read it because, again, I said this, 30,000 people going the same place you're going. Don't be the one that holds up the line because you didn't read the policy, okay? You don't want to throw away your beach bars. You don't want to have to dump things. You don't want to have to do that as they go through your bags. They may or may not check your bag, but it says that they can just because it is a large event. It's just standard procedure. So make sure you read your bag policies. Try to get places early. Again, don't show up with 2 minutes to spare with 30,000 people and think you're going to get a good seat. Don't do that. Jennifer Fryer has already talked about trying to sit together at events. That takes a lot of us to hold that many seats. 2 people trying to hold 20 seats, not a really good plan. It doesn't make friends. So if you can get there early and help out, please do that. We're not saying that you have to show up an hour early for everything. That's ridiculous. But just try to remember, there is a crowd. So don't expect that everything's going to work super fast. Try to get there early if you can. Have a summit buddy. If you don't have one, get one. Raise your hand if you're rooming with somebody. Are you rooming with anybody? A lot of times, Leanne's mine. A lot of times you can find one in your hotel or in the Facebook group or even in your hotel room. So try to find a summit buddy. That just makes things a little more fun. And sometimes it's like, holy crap, you hold my seat, I gotta pee, and I'll be back, and we'll switch. That comes in handy too. Raise your hand if you're trying to save money this year when you go to Summit. There's never a good time to take a week off and go hang out with people who have the same mission as you as far as life is concerned. Summertime is crazy busy. My kids are currently in the middle of 3 weeks away at church camp. My washing machine just quit. I've lived 6 weeks without air conditioning. It was just installed Thursday. I am in the middle of moving and remodeling a house, and then I'll have to move back in. So life is chaotic. I have considered canceling my trip just about every day for the last 4 weeks because holy crap, there is so much to do. But again, I live for Summit. Summit inspires me and it pumps me up. And so I'm making it work. I'm on strict orders to save as much money as possible. So I am rooming with lots of people. We have a space. If you need a room, talk to me. I am making a grocery store run on Wednesday night. I will be packing my food everywhere they'll let me, not the Lucas Oil Stadium because you can't take food. I read my bag policy. But I'm doing everything I can to save money. So ways that you can save money: room with other people, shop, eat cheap. A lot of hotels you can get a refrigerator in your room. If not, I have actually been on trips where I went to the grocery store and bought a cheap styrofoam cooler and used it for the week in my room. Lots and lots of veggies are packable in your bag without air conditioning, without a cooler or without an ice pack. They won't be great the next day necessarily, but they do last a few hours. I lived on peanut butter for a trip. I lived on peanut butter sandwiches and carrot sticks for like 4 days because I was traveling without my family and I felt bad about spending a lot of money. It wasn't a summit, it was a different trip, but you can travel very cheap if you get creative. Parking. I checked into the parking rates at our hotel and it's $40 a day. And I'm coming in on Wednesday and not leaving until Sunday. So I am actually parking at the airport and taking an Uber to the hotel. And I am going to pay $10 a day to park. So if you're concerned about cost this trip, that might be a way that you can save a little money if you're driving or if you have a vehicle. Okay, I mentioned that this is a business trip. So your expenses are tax deductible. I am not a financial advisor in any way, shape, or form, but save your receipts. If you don't want to lug around an envelope to keep those in, there are tons of apps that you can actually take a picture of your receipt and upload it to the system, and it will keep track of all those for you. I personally like Wave. It's free. I snap a picture with my phone, it uploads it automatically, and it hangs onto it. And when I get home, I can double check, yes, that's a Summit expense. Yes, that was gas. Yes, that was my hotel, whatever. So it's fantastic. It's free and super easy to use. Again, this is a business trip for you and everyone else who is there. Last year, in one of my rooms, I had to move twice because people around me talked the entire time. And like I said, I live for Summit. You guys know how much I love personal development, so I really, really thrive on the training sessions. I love them, love them, love them. I think I'd just soon sleep in those rooms waiting for them to start so I can get good seats. But, and so I had to get up and move twice to try to find a seat away from people who were talking. So don't be that person. You are paying a lot of money to be there. Pay attention. These sessions will teach you things that will change your business and your life by extension, the lives of multiple other people by extension. So pay attention and take notes. If you're sitting next to me and you're talking and I recognize you from Team Ignite, I will tell you, be quiet. We just talked about this. Like you're one of my kids. But anyway, so don't be that person. Now, I have some very specific note-taking tips for you. I am a super duper note taker. I write everything. I learn best when I take notes. So you'll see me, I will either have my e-writer or a notebook and a pen with me. You want to try to have a section at the end of your notebook. I have a notebook from me, so I'm fiddling with it. At the end of your notebook, 3 or 4 pages long. As you are taking notes for your sessions, do that in your notebook. Before you leave the room, put one thing in the back of your notebook that you will implement as soon as you get home. Immediately. One thing from that session. This is the big thing for me. I'm going to start it as soon as I get home. Or even you may be able to implement it right there. It may be a social media tip, or it may be just something that you've learned that you can implement before you even get home. But in the back of your notebook, keep a list. From this session, I'm going to do this immediately and have one thing from each session. One thing I do when I'm taking notes is, I told you I take notes. I'm a big, big nerd. I will do symbols next to different things. So like if it's social media, I put FB next to it because Facebook is my favorite. If it's something that I know I'm going to implement, this is something I know I'm going to implement, it gets a giant star next to it. You may have codes for yourself, but that way at the end of Summit, and I'm flipping back through, what was that thing I wanted to do? I find the stars, or I find the FBs, I find my system. But at the end of my notebook, there will be my list. The number one thing I'm going to implement from each session. Do not leave the room without writing that down. Raise your hand if you've been to Summit before. Did you forget stuff when you left? Did you forget something? Did life, you write it down? Did life get crazy and you forget about it until 2 weeks later? Did that happen to anybody else? Okay, I am horrible about that. Especially this year with the move. I will move the next week when I get back from Summit. That's when we have to be out of the house. So I have set myself an accountability call for Monday. I will get home Sunday afternoon. Monday, I have to report my list to somebody, and she will be waiting for me. She will be asking, what's your list of the things you're going to implement immediately? And I know her. She'll call me out. So do that for yourself, whether it be your Summit buddy or an accountability partner that you have outside of your Summit buddy. Find someone that you can report to on Monday. These are the things I'm going to implement, and this is when. Don't just say, I like these. Give yourself a deadline. This is another one that have a separate page or separate note in your phone where you can write down some of your observations or your emotions that you have through Summit. You're going to have some pretty powerful thoughts this week. Pretty powerful. Yes. Very, very powerful thought. There was a Facebook post last year, and I think, was it Heidi, who posted a picture from the top of an escalator of the crowd below. And she talked about who was in the crowd. Just something that crossed her mind. It was the mom who was there with her infant because she's still breastfeeding. There was the dad who took his time off work. There was the woman in the wheelchair who did this with her life. There is this person, the college student. There's the 70-year-old grandma. There's all of these different people in this crowd, and how it impacted her that all of these thousands of people, even though we're all vastly different, had the same mission. And she made a Facebook post about that. And holy crap, that sucker had tons and tons of commenting and feedback and lots of interaction, just because she took a second to recognize an emotion that she had, something that impressed her, an observation riding an escalator. How many times do we let those things go? How many times it's just a thought and it's gone? So have a spot in your phone, a spot in your notebook. You can write down those observations because those things are Facebook post gold. They are social media gold. Not only that, if you journal, that's a great place to go when you have your quiet time and you want to dig in to what you're learning and what you're feeling about the event. Okay, so make sure you're paying attention to those little things that may not feel important at the time. Keep note of them because they are, consider them ammunition for the days you don't feel excited. You don't feel like writing content. What am I going to do? What am I going to talk about? You've got a list from Summit and you can kind of relive that moment. Does that make sense? Okay. Oh, I forgot to say this. Take a thin jacket with you. The session rooms get kind of chilly. I have a t-shirt material. It's like a long sleeve t-shirt with a hood on it that I take with me just about everywhere. Got that. My cat's trying to climb in my purse. But I take that with me. Edgar says, don't fall into the core trap. Go early before the craziness starts and save money. Yes, yes, yes. I usually go to the core on Wednesday and I don't go back. They'll announce something on Thursday and I don't even go back to try it because if I do, I'll spend all my money. Like last year, you guys, I went on Wednesday last year and I got a whole bunch of Capri workout pants for $5. And the crowd was ridiculous. I'm going to brag on my husband. The crowd around this display was crazy. Like people kept pushing me. I looked at my husband and I said, I need every pair that looks like this in this size. Dude went in, pulled them all out, came out. I walked out with all of them in my size. It was awesome. And I didn't go back into the core. I was also one of the coaches that did not try Daily Sunshine until after Summit because I didn't want to fight the crowd in the core. But if you know that you want to look at things, go and kind of do your meandering early before general session, if at all possible, because it gets crazy after that when they make the new announcements. That way, if you go back in, all you're looking at is the new stuff. You've already seen everything else. You've done your easy shopping. You can just look at the new thing, okay? And he says, buy your Summit ticket for 2019 this week. This week. This week. Repeat after me. This week. Super important. You will save so much money. So much money. They usually announce it at one of the general sessions at the very end. And I kid you not, there are people waiting in line for the shuttles buying their tickets on their phone because they only release so many usually. So be prepared to do that. If at all possible, get that done. Make sure while we're gone, you post in the team page. Make sure while we're gone, you check into the team page because there's something happening that you will miss. There's so much going on, so much amazing stuff happening. You're not going to catch it all. You know, I was telling you about those little thoughts that if you forget, you miss them, they're gone. You know, you want to kind of take note of those. There are other people having them too. And if you go into the team page and you share yours, and then Teresa shares hers, and then Ariel shares hers, we all get the benefit of that. We all get excited and we all get inspired and we all have a library of things that we can post about. We all have things that we can share with the world about what we do. So make sure you're not only posting in the team page, but checking into the team page to see what other people are up to. There's a lot of our team not going this year that are not going to Summit. And it's up to us to show them why it's important that they do next year, because this is important. It is powerful. The point of Summit is not to inspire us for 5 days and send us home. The point of Summit is to change your business and my business, and for us to inspire other people to change their lives and the lives of the people that they know, and continuing to pass the flame. That's the point of Summit, is to change lives. Not just to have a good time together, not just to feel inspired and feel happy and get amazing pictures, but to change lives. And that starts here with this little group of people on this call. That starts here with us. So take your notes, pay attention to the things that are happening around you, pay attention to the emotions that you're having, pay attention to those thoughts, keep track of them so that you can share them with your challengers, your coaches, and the rest of the people that follow you. There was one thing I did last year that I will repeat this year for sure. I got home from Summit and I kind of, I realized that I had let my momentum, well, I lost complete momentum. It was pretty well starting my business from scratch. And I hated that. Hated that. I felt like I had ignored, you guys know that I have Liberty Fit, which is my free community where I do most of my marketing. I'd pretty well ignored those people for weeks at that point. And I hated the feeling of, okay, I'm starting back at the bottom. I'd let chaos and busyness keep me from pouring into those people, which then forced me to rebuild relationships there. And I wrote myself an email and I scheduled it to send it to me in what I knew was going to be a busy time of year where I would be tempted to not do any work. And I scheduled it to come in April to remind me how it felt to start from scratch, to remind me how crappy it felt that no one wanted to return my messages. No one wanted to talk to me. I didn't know what to say, to remind me how horrible that feeling was. And I got that email in April. And let me tell you something, that was a powerful day. I didn't even read all of the email. I got distracted and had to do something, but it pumped me up. It was like, I remember that. And I never, ever, ever want to feel that again. And so I am going to do that again this year. I'm working on an email right now that I'm going to send myself in September when marching band season is in full swing. My daughter, I have two daughters that play tennis and one daughter that does marching band at the same time. And I'm a very, very busy mommy. And they don't have driver's licenses, so I'm also the taxi. And so, and to keep me working, I'm going to schedule an email to myself to remind me what I'm working for. So when you finish with Summit and you're on that big high, send yourself an email. I did that through Boomerang, is an add-on to Gmail, but there's probably others that do it. You can just search in your add-ons in Chrome for schedule emails, and you'll come up with several different ones, I'm sure. But Boomerang was free, so I tried it. It's very powerful to get an email that you forgot you wrote. And it reminds you of what is important to you. It reminds you of what you learned at Summit. It reminds you of the promises that you made to yourself. It reminds you of the promises that you made to other people. Very, very powerful thing. So I really encourage you to take a few moments after Summit, write yourself, even if it's a little couple of sentences, write yourself an email and schedule it for a few months away. Maybe just before Christmas when things get really crazy. A lot of us tend to kind of drop off before Christmas. And that is the most important time is for a coach to really, really be planting seeds before the first of the year. Whenever you think you're going to need it, look back over the year that you've had. When do you think you're going to need it? Whenever you need it, send yourself an email and schedule it as soon as you get out of Summit, because that's when you're pumped and inspired and excited. Okay. Is there anyone here that's not going to Summit? Okay. I do want to give a couple tips just in case there's someone watching the recording that's not going, and also in case you have some coaches that are not going. Make sure that you pay attention, you watch the live feed. They usually do the general session on opening night on the Team Beachbody 411 page, and that's really exciting. And I still encourage anyone who's not going to Summit to continue to, you also take notes on observations and emotions that you feel as you're seeing the posts and as you're seeing the announcements and all of the things that we are getting to do that you're not able to participate in because you didn't get to go. You still take notes, because those things are, again, very, very powerful Facebook posts or social media posts. They're also very powerful for you to help you set better goals for next year, help you be more consistent towards the goals that you're setting next year. How does it feel to stay home when everybody else is having a good time at Summit? I know from experience it sucks. It sucks, it sucks. I've missed one Summit and I said I would never ever do it again. I hated it. Like I said, I live for Summit, but really dig into how that feels, really dig into what you want from your business, And if it's a money cost, if it's the cost that's keeping you from going, start saving today. Put $10 in a jar and do that twice a month, whatever, just put $10 in a jar right now. And don't ever promise yourself you're never going to stay home from a summit again, ever, because it sucks. And again, that whole emailing yourself thing, extremely powerful. Email it to yourself. How does it feel right now to stay home and watch everybody else have fun without you? Send yourself an email in 6 months. Are you on track with your goals? Do you really want to be sitting at home next June or July or whenever we have summit in 2019? And keep yourself focused. I think that's all. Does anybody have any questions or tips that I missed that you want to share with people? I'm going to unmute. If I can remember how to do it. Okay, you're all unmuted. Does anybody have any tips that we haven't talked about tonight?
Hey, Kat.
Yes.
I had a question about the parking. Did you see on the, are you staying at the JW Marriott? I forget.
Deanne, where am I staying? JW
Yes,
Marriott.
we're staying at the JW.
On their website, they said there was self-parking like a couple of blocks away from the hotel. It didn't say like how much it was. Did you check that out too?
I did not.
Okay.
A lot of times when there's a big event, self-parking prices go way up.
Okay.
And so last year we drove to New Orleans and we paid $18, I think, to park for 2 hours to go in and register. Because we couldn't get into our hotel yet, so we just went straight to the convention center, and it was ridiculous. But I mean, that was the only option, so that's what we did. But
yeah.
And this time, I'm just going to drive to the airport. I checked the distance from the airport to the hotel, and it's like a 20-minute drive or 20-minute drive. So I'm just going to go ahead and do an Uber. So, are you driving, Teresa?
Yeah, I am.
Yes. I think I'll probably, there's several different, even valet parking at the airport was cheaper than parking at the hotel.
Oh, goodness.
So that's why I decided to do that.
Okay, that's a good tip.
Any other questions or tips?
I'm parking at a parking deck that's 0.4 miles away, and it's about $20 a day to stay there.
That's not bad. When are you getting
and I'm
in?
staying with Julie at the JW Marriott too. So
Okay, awesome. What day are you getting in?
Wednesday.
Okay. Cool.
Well, one other thing to keep in mind too, unless you actually have reservations in a parking place, it's going to be first come, first serve. So don't necessarily count on that particular place.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? So
No, I hadn't thought about that, so that's good to know.
yeah, because unless you actually have a reservation to park there, and which most of them don't, it's usually first come, first serve. So, and anything that if you have found that it's $20, I guarantee you everybody else, because I've been watching on the Summit 2018. There's been a huge feed about parking. It's a big, big, big deal. So I think Kat's got the right idea personally. The airport, I mean, if it's only $10 a day, that's cheap. I mean, compared to everywhere else.
I think valet was $21 a day. I was like, shoot, that's half of the hotel. So, and they have multiple lots. So you can pick which lot you want. There's garage and then, so.
Yeah. There's a lot of fun things to do there too if
So
you have
much.
downtime and you don't want to do business.
Oh. I had it on my notes. I don't know why I didn't say this. Talk to people. Holy crap, you will have so much fun talking to people. Like anybody, I mean, yes, get to know the people in our team, but talk to people who aren't in your team. Just ask them, where are you from? And because everybody does this business just a little differently. So you will learn from people, whether you learn, yeah, I don't want to do it like that, or, oh my gosh, why didn't I think of that? You will have so much fun hearing people's stories, learning how they do things, just standing in line for places. I have learned so much from people. So really visit with people. And again, starting up conversations with large groups of strangers is not something that I excel at. It's not something that comes naturally to me, but I make myself do it because, dude, I mean, I learn so much from people, and you never know who you're going to see. Seriously. Do some, and on parking, is that what you mean, Edward? Do some research on parking? Yes. He said, let's do some research and post it in the summit page. And then shareware does get some attention, especially if you have custom shareware. If you've had some shirts made that are different than the ones you buy from Team Beachbody, people love that. And so they may start conversations with you. What else? Any other questions or tips? So, homework for tonight. Find a summit buddy. That's important. Find your summit buddy. Do you know how you're taking notes? Because if you go to summit and don't take notes, I might just trip you. I took 77 pages of notes last year. So
I didn't do quite that many,
yeah.
But how big were your pages?
I had my e-writer, so it's small, and I write kind of big on it.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yeah, which also
Shoot, I did 19. I did 19 and thought I was doing good. Dang, I got to step it up this year, girl.
No, I have a Jot sync, which will sync to my phone, and it gives me pictures of everything I've written. And boy, that thing my phone was hot all of Summit from syncing those pictures of notes that I took. But I really, really love my e-writer. My husband bought it for me because it saves us a ton in ink and paper because I take notes through everything.
Wow.
But okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and end the call if we don't have any other tips. If you do have tips that we didn't talk about that you think of, post them in our Team Ignite group, in the Team Ignite Summit group. And again, make sure you're checking into the Team Ignite Past the Flame group so that we're also pouring into the people that didn't make it this year, because it starts with us. Okay, their passion to go in 2019 starts with us. It's our job to encourage them. So let's do that, okay? I hope you guys have a fantastic next couple of days, and I will see you in Indianapolis.
Can't wait to see you.